There is a difference between like and love. When I was in college, this tension faced me almost weekly on my hall at Southwestern with the guys that I lived with in the dorm, because they loved to have these weekly pickup basketball nights at Claxton Gym at Southwestern. And just by looking at me, you can probably tell that basketball was not what God had in mind when he designed me. It just wasn't. Like, I'm 5'7", 5'7" wingspan. Like, I'm not designed for basketball. He designed me for golf, bingo, and that's about it. You know, like, those are my things. It's just not in my makeup. So I would go just because I want to hang out with my friends. Like, you can look at Tristan, and Tristan was built for basketball, right? Like, this is a basketball guy. David, when David's up here leading worship, I hate leading worship next to David because he makes me look like a toddler. David's built for basketball, right? I'm not, but I wanted to be with my friends. They love it, I like it, but I'm going to go because I want to be a part. So I would go every week to these pickup basketball nights, and we would play. And what you have to understand about college guys playing pickup basketball in an old gymnasium is that there was nothing casual about this. This was a competitive event, a competitive endeavor. And so you would walk in the gym and instantly know, like, we're not here for fun, right? Like, there's music playing, there's guys in layup lines doing warm-ups, there's guys over in the corners against the bleachers with bands, like, stretching and getting loose, there's guys on foam rollers rolling out, and the ones you always have to watch out for in an amateur basketball pickup setting is the ones that come in with, like, goggles on and shooting sleeves. Like, if this dude invested financially in a shooting sleeve and goggles, like, he means business. Look out. Do not take a charge. He's going right through you, okay? So I go. This is not really my thing, but I want to be a part, so we start to play, right? It's a competitive deal. And so we start to play, and what you have to understand is this is not like we'll play to 21, we'll play half court, we might call fouls, we might not. No, this is full court. Full speed, full contact. If you're not bleeding, don't even think about calling a foul, right? Like, this is an intense event. And so we'd start to play, and we'd play 1 game, 2 games, 3 games, and with breaks in there. And then eventually, like anything else, the people that are not in love with basketball, they kind of start to fade off. They start to slowly, like, without looking at anybody, they kind of grab their bag and they make their way to the exit. And eventually in the night, you get down to where you've got enough guys to basically make up 2 teams. And these are the ones that are going to play into, like, the wee hours of the morning. And so we're going and we're playing, and somehow one night I get stuck in one of those final 2 groups, and I'm thinking, man, I got classes tomorrow. I got papers to write. I also just don't want to be here, but I'm still here. And we're playing, and we go back and forth, and the game ends. And you get to that moment where you think, are we done? Like, we've been here like 4 hours. Like, we've got to be done, right? And so, like, I slowly start to make my way, not making eye contact with anybody, because it's like, if I don't make eye contact with them, they can't see me. Like, they can't see me going to get my gym bag and leaving. And all of a sudden, from the other end of the gym, I hear one of my best friends, John. He loves to play basketball. I would hear John from the other end go, "Run it back." And my heart would just sink. Because you don't want to be the guy that leaves and you, like, hinder the teams from being able to play again. So it's like, all right, peer pressure, I'll do it. So we play again, and we run it. We're running back and forth, and I'm praying, like, Lord, I need your supernatural strength, because these guys are 6'5", and I'm 5'6", and I'm having to sprint to keep up with their walk. Like, I need some energy. We play again, and again I'm thinking, nobody said anything. I'm going to get to go home. I'm going to go to the dorm. I'm going to go get in the bed. And at that time, I would have taken that dorm mattress over anything else, even though if you went to college and you lived in a dorm, you know that mattress was terrible. But I would take it. And then right as I'm about to pick up my bag, I hear it again. "Run it back." And I'm thinking, Lord, I need you to either make John mute. I need you to, like, strike him dead for, like, the next 6 hours and then bring him back to life. We'll celebrate the miracle. It'll be great. But at least we'll all get to go get some rest. But again and again and again, he would yell, "Run it back, run it back, run it back." And we would continue to play because he could not get enough. It did not matter how tired he was. It did not matter how bad he was playing, how many times they had lost. He would run it back again and again and again. Why? Because he loved the game of basketball. And when I read the book of Acts, when I read the accounts of the early church, I'm reminded of how beautiful and how powerful and how impactful and how needed the church is in our world today. You see, the tendency is to focus on the circumstances of our life, the stability of our culture, the tensions of political landscape, and be discouraged about what we see around us. But when I read the book of Acts, I see a church that even though it had its adversity, even though it had its struggle, even though at times it didn't seem like it was going to make it, God showed himself faithful. And when I read about the presence of God, and I read about the outpouring of his Spirit, and I read about the transformed lives by the power of God, when I read about cities being completely changed by revival, when I read about 3,000 people being saved in one service and one gathering, and miracles and healings, my soul cries out like John did in that gym, God, run it back. Run it back. Do that again in me. Do that again in my family. Do that again in my church. Do that again in my city. God, what you did then, do it again. Do it again. I don't want to be content to experience what we have now, but God, what I see in your early church, God, run it back and do it again in this church, in this time, for such a time as this. Run it back. Use your church to turn the world upside down again. Use us. Use us. I want to be that church. I want to be that church that makes an impact. I want to be that church that turns the world upside down for the cause of Christ.